Put him down. Put him down. I'm not looking up.
3, 2,
Welcome back to another edition of the Agony of Positivity podcast. I am Ross. Joined with me on the other side of the internet is...
Dapper Soul.
Dapper?
Dapper, yeah.
Like, spiffy dressed? Are you wearing a tie?
I'm wearing fancy socks.
I thought you were just going to go with fancies, like Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky call it.
Yes. Fancy socks.
I'm wearing a pair of my wife's socks, I think.
Hey, we're both, you said your wife's socks?
I think so.
You're wearing your wife's socks, huh?
I think so. They were a pair of the no-show style socks. I just grabbed them, and I was like, I don't remember any of my socks looking like this, but too late now.
Well, I mean, do you often just grab, have you ever just grabbed her underwear or her bras and start wearing them too?
No, that would be weird.
Okay.
The socks, I mean, there's been a time, because, so I wear like a 9.5 to a 10 shoe.
Yeah.
The problem with that, I find, is when you buy men's socks, it's like size 6 to 47. And if I had like a size 12 shoe, it's really like 6 to 12 or whatever. But if I had like a 12 size foot, they'd probably fit fine. I find they get kind of like, once you wear them once or twice where they stretch, no matter what you dry them on, they get a little bit bunchy, and then I hate that.
Yeah.
So I typically buy like a pack of like the women's no-shows, like MTA, like just generic socks or whatever, because they fit my foot nicely, and they actually go a little bit lower on the ankle. So,
See, I like my socks a little loose. I don't like skin tight where my feet can't. My feet's got to breathe, Ross. They got to breathe.
See, the ones I get, because they're the athletic, they're a little bit thinner on the toes. But
Yeah.
I will still say the biggest thing with socks is you turn them inside out. Now, this, obviously, if you have like the tube socks with the colored bands, it's not going to work because it's going to be real obvious if you're wearing shorts. But is you turn them inside out, then the little seam isn't against your toes, so it actually feels comfortable.
Yeah. See, I never wear shorts, so I don't have that problem. So.
I don't wear them a ton anymore, but like right now I'm wearing them. I almost did this show without shoes. But then I was like, well, we're like 150 or some odd episodes in, and I've worn shoes every time. So I'm pretty sure. I don't think I've done an episode without shoes.
So you got to wear shoes, huh?
For some reason, when I do the podcast, now, when we were doing it in the same place, like obviously I took a shower before headed up your way, because I'm sure you don't want to be like, Jesus, Ross smells like 40,000 years of funk. What is going on here? But I kind of treat it as getting ready. So like I'll take a shower before the show usually, get dressed for the day, and then basically treat it as I'm going to do this, and then immediately I have to go somewhere, even if I'm going to go to the couch.
Sure.
So
No,
the listening audience are getting my best. Now you might question, dear Lord, what is the worst? After some of our episodes, but
I do the same thing. So I come upstairs, take a shower, brush my teeth, and put some deodorant on, and I pretty much treat it like after I get done with the show, I'm going to go somewhere. So
right.
I do the same thing.
Well, and if we were a super successful podcast and this was all we had to do for a living, we would probably treat it the same way, where this is our job and we give it our at least moderate effort.
We can sell out like all the corporations, and we can just celebrate whatever politicians tell us to celebrate. We can, really plug that in.
Yeah, just a new colored logo that goes away after that month.
Yeah.
And then when you look into their financial books, you find out that they've actually done any extra profits they made in that month goes against whatever cause they were just supporting.
No, the corporations wouldn't do that, Ross. They don't do that type of. They actually feel that way.
There's a place I know of that has like a little board thing that has like company values and do this and goals and all this, and then they have the earnings one, and like earnings listed last on purpose. It's like I like, no joke. One way or the other, I've seen a picture of this board, let's say, and I saw it, and I just laughed out loud, like that real inappropriate laugh that if somebody were there, they'd be like, "Oh, what was that about?" And then you'd have to explain, be like, "This company has listed earnings last because it's that low on the importance factor."
Well, I remember that pharmaceutical place that we worked at did that one time where they're like, whatever you guys give to the charity, I forget what they was even doing for.
They'd match it.
It was, they would match it, and they only got like $150 total. That's what the company matching it, because everyone was so just burnt out with it.
Well,
and like the guy I worked with, he's like, I'd be embarrassed to give that. He's like, if I'm a multi-million-dollar company and I only give $150, I'd be embarrassed.
I mean, that place paid. I thought the pay was good. At the time, and you could make a ton of money because you could pretty much work as much as you wanted. If you drop dead working, that's fine. You probably actually got a bonus for it. Especially if you're clued in with the life insurance. But man, did they not care about anything that it seems like they should have cared about as far as like good employees. They're like, "Oh, you actually can't read English? Here you go. You're in charge.
You're making drugs today that is for people's hearts. Go ahead, have a good time."
Hope you don't skip 19 pages of instructions. That's all hypothetical, and that's definitely not something that happened. We're just making up random things and random numbers.
After working there, I took a different view of Big Pharma.
I mean, I didn't have necessarily a good view.
Greatest view of it, yes.
But after seeing the inner workings of it,
yes.
Now, I do want to say, because you mentioned this and it was funny. There's someone that we've been in contact with who's like super into some of the vaccine conspiracies and like the pharmaceuticals and all that, and it's like, where, what was it you said? He was like, to him in his mind, they're like some kind of sinister, like Raj Al Ghul Batman industry.
Yeah, you would think like it's Raj Al Ghul running Pfizer and Moderna, and they're just out there to kill people. And I'm like, they are not the Batman villains that you think they are.
And if they are, it's like the Crazy Quilt. It's bottom tier.
Yes.
The incompetence is more likely to harm you than...
Yes. I'm like, now, I think you said this. They're evil. They're evil in a different way with greed.
Yeah, they're greed evil, not genocide evil.
Yes.
Not that for the right price they couldn't go that way, but
yes,
magnet technology is a little more expensive than what they're making.
Well, and the place that we used to work for, we used to make some of the drugs for the people making the vaccines. And I told them this, and I'm like, you do know they've been around for a while. They just pop up out of nowhere. They're like, time to kill people.
Right. Well, and they probably make more money doing what they are doing as they did. Like, it doesn't benefit them. This is going to be really cynical of me. It doesn't benefit them to have people die.
Yes.
Although it also does not benefit them to cure people completely.
Oh, no, I 100% would.
You want that nice middle ground where you're just maintaining to get the most money. So, and by the way, they were about product being to packaging and to the supplier and how insane that whole process was. Money, definitely a motivator.
Oh, sure. Well, that was a little rant there.
We go once in a while on things where it's like, I should probably cut that part out of the show, and then I leave it in because I'm not gonna pretend that we're something we're not.
So you know what? Speaking of rants, since we're ranting, I'm going to rant because I sent you this a couple days ago, or maybe yesterday. I don't know. But I was reading the newspaper article about Joe Biden.
Oh
and they were
yeah.
blaming,
So can I set this one up before you go into it
Sure, go
a
ahead,
little
go
bit?
ahead.
Because you are, and I think I am too, but you a little more than me. You're a little bit harder on the Democratic Party than say the Republican Party.
Sure,
But
yeah, that's fair.
like, just I mean, I think that's the way it is. I'm probably a little bit more that way, but I'd call myself closer to the middle. Just my hate is equal. I spread the hate equally as much as I
no,
can.
so yeah, I mean, I also think the Republicans are just as stupid as the Democrats. So yes,
Right, but
let's
yeah,
just
if
keep that up.
if both of them were hanging off a cliff, you're probably more likely to lean towards the Republican side.
Okay, that's fair. That's
Like,
fair.
and you can only pick one for some reason, because someone's
Yeah.
holding a gun to your head. That guy showed up.
Yeah.
That's actually Goku. He has instant transmission. That's how he's everywhere.
That's
but, okay.
that's a
So
fair
that's
statement.
kind of how I want to set it up. Is that if there was a way that you were skewed, it would probably be that direction. So it's kind of to show what you're about to talk about. Like, if that makes any sense to you. Okay.
Yeah, I have. You know me. I have no love for Joe Biden whatsoever.
Right.
I think he's an idiot. But I was reading this article, and they were blaming Joe Biden. There's like 300,000 people since Joe Biden has taken office that died of the coronavirus. And I'm like, well, that's not even fair
Yeah.
because the dude took over with the pandemic happening. So how is that his fault?
Right.
People have died.
Yeah, because
mean,
it was already happening.
yes.
Yeah, because even if you look at it as, well, these people contracted the COVID after he
Yeah.
took office, it's like, well, yeah, but he wasn't even in charge when
Yes.
all those events set in motion.
Well, and even if let's go back to Trump. I mean, I think it's wrong to blame him for the deaths that happen. I mean, it just happens.
Right.
It's like, why don't we blame him for like drunk driving or heart disease or cancers? I mean, it's just media trying to start a fight.
Right. Well, and they do
And-
it every time, because even outside of COVID, like Trump took over, I forget the particulars of it. There were a few things where it was like, oh, this is, Trump, this. And it's like, well, that was in motion before him. Then Obama. There were things that
Sure.
they tried to blame him for that were in motion previously.
Sure.
Like Clinton, Bush. I'm sure if you went back and it's probably a standard thing to try to undermine credibility.
Yeah.
I feel like in recent years, it's more about riling people up to the extreme.
Yeah, well, it's just to keep us. And I'm as I'm getting older and older, I'm starting to realize that's why I'm not really much of a Republican as I used to be, because it's just like you said, it's just all about keeping us at each other's throat. So we don't really see the true evilness of how they work.
Yeah,
And
the entirety
they
of the
only
picture.
care- they only care about themselves, and they're afraid that when the American people realize, hey, you know what? Both these parties don't give a crap about us.
Yep. Like, this party just pretends to like us and not like those people, but the other party does the opposite. They're just playing both sides of the fence.
Exactly. It's just, I don't know, man. It just frustrates me. And that's why I don't really read news that much. I mean, I'll do, but it's just.
I come across stuff and then I kind of like, okay, I need to see what this is. Now, fortunately, because I have an iPhone, my news app, the amount of stuff that is Apple Plus, there's air quotes there, where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is actually kind of an interesting story. I wonder what's really going on here. You have to have a
Sure.
subscription to this thing to read it. It's like,
Oh.
no, not happening. Like,
Sure.
if it's interesting enough, I'll just look it up and find the information somewhere else. Usually I'm just like, it can't be that important, because it would be just
Sure.
free national news everywhere. But yeah, so just an interesting thing. Like, I was wondering if you wanted to bring that up or not, because yeah, I mean, you're usually pretty critical on that side. And then
Sure.
even this, though, you're like, well, this isn't fair. Like,
No.
I think that's a healthy mentality.
Sure.
So-
Well, I mean, and I've noticed this with just my own circles is if you stay in your own circle of people that just hate a certain, what I mean, it doesn't have to be politicians. It could be anything. I mean,
Right.
if I hung out with people that hate, I don't know,
Final Fantasy.
hot dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Final Fantasy, and they just bash Final Fantasy all the time. And I just hang out with that group of people. I'm going to develop those people's viewpoints. And I
Right.
never branch off to hang out with people that like Final Fantasy or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
when you're it's a little bit of a dramatic term in that sense, but like the echo chamber. And like the
Yeah.
internet makes it super easy for that because you can find like with wrestling, like you can find stuff that's pro WWE or pro AEW, and then they're like
Yeah.
super critical of the other, and they will excuse their own shortcomings.
Oh yeah.
And,
Oh yeah.
like, and sometimes it's like, well, that's a logical excuse, and other times you're like, no, because it's like, well, if
Yeah.
one company does this and then the other does it, you're going to complain.
Yes.
Like video games, like WoW and Final Fantasy 14 are definitely getting to that level.
Mm-hmm.
Politics, like they're just everything.
Yep. It's just I don't know. It's frustrating sometimes.
Well, the thing is, too, it's hard to one. You got to realize that you're in that situation,
Yeah.
which can be hard. And then it's like, well, do I argue with these people all the time, trying to get them to see something different, or
Yeah.
like, like what do you got to do? And then like in some cases, you basically just have to be like, well, now I have to go and try to find like counterpoints to this self for myself, just so I'm somewhat like trying to be objective and I'm not just following along.
I don't understand why people are so passionate about certain things. Like a couple weeks ago, we was at a party with people that were vaccinated
Yeah.
and people that were not vaccinated, and you would think like the Civil War happened, man. There was like sides forming up. There's like I'm like, why are we fighting here? It's like this. I don't know.
There are, I don't know. I think I've said this like a dozen times. Like, I took both shots. My job was going to mandate it.
Yeah.
I'm not really concerned one way or the other. I figure I might get some superpowers out of it at worst case.
Yes. Magneto.
But there's like, I know plenty of people, I mean, and they work in healthcare, and they're like, I am not going to take that because it's brand new.
Yeah.
They believe what they believe, and they're not going to take it just because. And
Sure.
I understand that. That's fine. Like,
Sure.
if someone wants to get the vaccine, that's great. I don't think you've done like this super awesome thing by getting vaccinated.
Sure.
Like my work has, remember like Book It in school, or like how they'd have those Book It posters, and it had like the book with like the rainbow trail behind it, like it was a comet or something.
Oh yeah.
Like one of those, like, so they have something like that for getting vaccinated. That's like the biggest, like it looks like some kind of like weird propaganda. I was like looking
Sure.
at that poster. It is so atrocious. It makes me wish I could get unvaccinated just because of that poster.
I mean, I didn't get free donuts for getting my chickenpox shot or measles. That's all I'm.
MMR, measles, mumps, rubella.
Say what?
The MMR shot, the measles, mumps, rubella.
I guess I don't know.
You would probably have gotten it, I think, first grade. Like you get one before school and one in like first or second grade, I think.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Oh yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't get any free donuts or anything for that. I mean,
I think I got a sticker at our school, and then they let you. This is gonna sound ridiculous. We would do like the skateway, like the roller skating rink parties or whatever, and they would always put this
Yeah.
big white banner up that was airbrushed, but it smelled like marshmallows. So on the way
Oh,
back
sweet.
from getting the shot or getting a drink of water, you could
Really?
walk by and smell it.
really? So your school made a big deal about that, huh?
The roller skating party.
Or like they made a big deal about you getting the vaccinated for chickenpox? And stuff?
Oh no, like they didn't make a big deal. I'm just remembering what we did because
Oh, gotcha.
for some
okay.
reason, like I have like a
I
super
thought you were
vivid.
saying they threw you a party. I was like, wow,
no.
really? What kind
They,
of school did you go to?
I have like there's certain things that happened in school that I had a very vivid memory about, and one of them is getting that shot because it was out the door and around the corner, and then when you came back, you could get a drink of water, and it was right by the school office. So that's where like they had the big banner for the skateway parties, and but they smelled like marshmallow for some reason. So you'd get a drink of water and do that. So anytime you went out of my class, like you would always come back and get water and smell just what everyone did. Now I also specifically remember getting pretzel rods from I had like speech therapy class.
Yeah.
And to this day, I don't know exactly what my speech impediment was.
Yeah, I think I was in one too.
So I did it for 3 years.
Yeah.
And like I've asked like family, I was like, so what was my speech impediment? And they're like, well, you said your S's and V's funny. And I was like, was that after I lost my front baby teeth? They're like, well, yeah, I think so. Or like, there was something dumb about it that always stuck out to me that I didn't understand. Because like the people that I was in there with, they had like super bad speech impediments or whatever it was. And I don't know, like, obviously I have no videos of myself back then, so I don't know how I talked, but my brother might remember. Like, what was my speech impediment? Because my parents could never tell me.
I remember, and I think I've talked about this before, or maybe I haven't, I don't know, but like being in school, like first and second grade and stuff like that, and learning how to write and being yelled at for writing with my left hand. It's like forcing me, basically.
Yeah, to go right-handed.
And I look back and I was like, wow, that was like some kind of weird indoctrination against left-handed people for some reason.
Yep, because the left hand was the devil. My actual father, so he writes right-handed. Yeah. Because like in his day, like it was corporal punishment. You write with your right hand, like they could hit you if you weren't doing it. But like
that's weird.
He throws baseball left-handed.
Yeah.
And then, so interesting story. This might, if anyone who listens to this is a parent of a small child, my brother was having a hard time learning to tie his shoes. Well, brother is left-handed, so everyone showing him how to tie the shoes was right-handed. So eventually, my actual dad, so he's a half-brother technically, but beside the point. So my dad, who's left-handed and ties his shoes left-handed, showed him how to tie his shoes. He got it immediately. So if you're in that situation with a young child that is having trouble tying their shoes and they're left-handed and you're right-handed, that might be the problem. Or vice versa.
Weird to me that there is like some kind of like anti-left-handedness back. At least back. I mean, I don't know what it is nowadays, but back in the day, like, no, you write right, you do everything right. I'm like, but, and I think that's why my penmanship sucks so much, because I think I'm actually supposed to be left-handed.
Let's see here. I'm trying to find unfavorable. Trying to figure out. Yeah, because this says even in like the Soviet Union, like it was a thing.
Sure.
I mean, granted, if you're viewing it from like if you were min-maxing a character, you would definitely make them right-handed in any country that writes left to right.
Sure, I guess.
Like it's going to be better, but I'm trying to find if there's a history. Why did they make people right?
During the Crusades,
I'm sure.
Yes.
There we go. Due to cultural and social pressure. So some countries associate left-handed being bad luck.
Yeah.
I think, like, what my dad was told was that it was the devil or something like that. I think that's where they were going from for him. Which is, of all the things that the devil has been accused of, whether actual or not, making someone prefer one hand over the other is very strange.
Oh, you don't remember reading it? I mean, Jesus did say in the Bible that those who write left-handed shall have to repent. So I mean,
I think it was that right around where it was like, if thou play dodgeball and thou kick with thy left foot, thou shall be cast into the eternal fire.
Yes.
Oh man, see that's why people don't like some religious stuff, is because they see crazy stuff like that doesn't actually follow anything.
Before people say that we're anti-Christian, Ross and me are both Christians, so
yes,
we're not anti. So.
But I can see why when crazy stuff like this, because how do you think my dad feels about anything when they're talking about like, we're gonna beat the left-handed out of you?
Yes,
like, oh my god, like just. It doesn't make any sense. I'm more okay with like, oh, left-handed is bad luck, so you don't want to be left-handed. But does that just mean you're like anytime? Like, is there like an invisible dice roll in the background when you go to do something and be like, oh, he's trying to cut left-handed. Oh, he's about to cut his finger.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, if I was an adult and I saw someone doing that, I'd be like, "What are you doing? No, you leave that person. If they're left-handed, let them be left-handed." I don't know.
Right? It's I don't know. I don't know why people do that. But yeah, that's funny. So yeah, so you probably should have been left-handed, or so what do you write with now?
My right hand.
But you naturally would have been left-handed.
I remember in school writing stuff left-handed and getting yelled at, and for whatever reason, and like I said, my memory goes blank. You know how it is in childhood. Yeah,
you have like super vivid memories for a bit, and then nothing.
Like in first and kindergarten and stuff, I remember writing left-handed, and then I fast forward to like junior high and stuff, I'm writing right-handed. So something happened there.
Maybe they hit you in the head so hard to get you to. They're like, we need to do a hard reboot.
I guess, man. I don't know.
I remember
because I remember my mom buying me left-handed scissors type.
Man, we had 50-50 scissors. Like, so if we had like 20 pairs of scissors, 10 of them were left-handed, 10 of them were right-handed. Well, you generally have more right-handed people. The amount of times I ended up having to try to use left-handed scissors to cut something out and it looked like garbage in elementary school.
Yes.
That's why I got discouraged in art. I'm pretty sure.
Sure.
I still remember. So, anytime, this is sad. I think I've told this story before, but you're talking about like you remember certain things very well. Like I remember like getting the MMR shot or whatever it was. It might not have been MMR, but it was definitely a vaccine shot. And it was like right around first grade. In kindergarten, I remember there was a kid, Kenny, who came in late to kindergarten one day. And he's like one of the kids that I like talk to all the time. Like he was like a kindergarten friend. But he came in, he was like, oh, I was late because we went out and I had this super big breakfast. And it was, imagine how like John Silver is on BTE if he was talking about having a big breakfast and the mannerisms and stuff. That's basically how Kenny explained it. So anytime I go anywhere and I eat breakfast, him doing that runs through my head. So like sometimes I'll laugh.
What else knows what it is?
Yeah, and it's like once in a while, like my wife will be like, "What is that?" And be like, "I'm having a kindergarten flashback." It's like I don't want to have to retell it because like I'm sure she's forgot. Like I've told her a couple times, but it's just so obscure.
Sure.
Let's see here. So, do we want to try to get into, because we don't have hardly anything to talk about today, so we're just kind of going with the flow here. You want to try to get into a real topic of anything, or?
We can talk about movies. Ramble for a minute because I got to take care of my dog.
All right. Well, I'm going to hit the bumper, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Maybe I could move the Earth out of the way.
If we had a week, I couldn't list all the reasons that would.
King Shark is a shark. Not the beast! Let's rock.
All right.
All right, I am back.
Well, you timed that very well.
Yes.
So, movies.
Yes. I watched a lot of John Wayne this week.
Now, so to clarify, because people have different standards, when you say a lot of John Wayne movies, how many are we
Yes.
like double digit?
I think I watched 3 actually.
Okay. I mean, to me, that's an eternity. So,
Not a fan of the Duke. Where are you?
no, I mean, 3 movies is an eternity, let alone from the same person. So, what 3 did you watch?
I watched Rio Lobo.
Okay.
I watched The War Wagon,
Okay.
and I watched Hatari.
No shootist?
No, let's see. So I the reason I like watching John Wayne westerns is because they're lighthearted and they're not dark. The shootist is very dark.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the end basically. So
Yeah.
I'm just looking at like there are so many. Man, War Wagon is 2 hours and 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You said Rio Bravo or Rio Lobo?
Rio Lobo.
Okay, so
I
that's
think
almost
Rio Bravo and Rio Lobo is the same movie, just written differently.
that's my guess. And then what was the third one?
Hatari.
Trying to find.
John
There it
Wayne
is.
basically a zookeeper.
Okay, that's wow. 2 hours and 40 minutes
Yeah.
of John
Hatari's
Wayne
very
in a baseball hat in front of
Yeah,
giraffes.
it's weird. I was reading things about that movie,
Yeah.
and they said Hatari could never be done nowadays because animal rights activists would be on that movie so. Because I guess they did a lot of stuff. I mean, they weren't hurting animals.
Yeah, but just the general anything they do would be a problem.
So they're like chasing like animals, sheep, and I mean you can tell they're chasing these animals in a jeep and throwing ropes around them.
Yeah.
And I can see animal rights activists going, "No, you're hurting the animals by." Because what? So the whole plot of the story is they're zookeepers, not zookeepers. They're getting animals for zoos.
Okay. So they're poachers?
Not, well, I don't know. Yeah, I guess technically they could be poachers. I guess.
Them and Crocodile Dundee are healing it up in the Sahara?
From what I understand, they have the rights to be in Africa. So I don't know. But yeah, that's all. The whole plot of the movie.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that movie existed for him.
It's if you've never seen it, I guess it's worth a. If you're only used to seeing John Wayne in westerns, it's different to see him in this movie.
Okay.
Because like you said, he's wearing a baseball cap.
Yeah, I was real confused because, in a way, the hat on the poster I'm looking at, it almost reminds me of the Skipper from Gilligan's Island.
Well, so he wears it actually wears goggles too.
Yeah, he's got them around his neck in the poster.
Yeah. So because they're out in Africa and desert parts, so he has to wear these goggles. And it's interesting.
I'm trying to think if I have a favorite John Wayne. I'm like going through these trying to see because I've seen so many of them that they kind of blur together.
Yeah.
I've mostly watched I've not seen John Wayne, the Barbarian, and the Geisha. Never saw that. I'm just looking at all these. Yeah. It's an hour and 45 minutes from 1958.
Yeah.
There's like the more modern ones where it's like, or modern settings, like different ones. But
Well, I know that he's did a couple of movies where he's like a police detective, which would be weird to see John Wayne in a modern day.
The High and the Mighty. It looks like that one actually he might be a pilot.
No.
The Quiet Man looks like it's I don't know what it is. Man, old movies are so long. 2 hours and 9 minutes. Who is sitting through these things?
Well, you got to think. They didn't have the entertainment like we do nowadays. So I mean, when you went to the movies, you were going. That's
It was an event.
You know, when we have like Fast and the Furious 38 coming out. I mean,
Oh man, yeah. I wish I could be like, say, Orange Cassidy, whose favorite franchise is Fast and the Furious, because I'd be so happy to know that there's just going to be another movie pumped out.
yeah.
Like, even if it's not good, it's just going to keep happening.
The first movie was all right. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was good, but it was all right. I mean, it was something different. But after that, man, this is just dumb.
I saw the first one. I think I worked at the movie theater, so I ended up seeing it for free or something at that time. But I think I
think the
went
movie
with my
theater
like
still
stepbrother and his friends, and they were like super car nerds.
Yeah.
They had problems walking away from the movie, but they liked it because it was like fast cars. So
Too fast, too furious.
yeah. I wish they would.
Well,
they would have just kept doing that, like 9 fast, 9 furious. The most furiousest yet.
I like the first movie and the second movie where they're like, all right, maybe we can just do the movies without Paul Walker and Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
And the cars will bring people. And yeah, the Fast and Furious 3 sucked. So they're like, okay, we'll bring back Paul Walker and Vin Diesel.
Well, don't forget, I think Tokyo Drift is in there.
Yeah, isn't that the third? I mean, I don't know a lot about the Fast and Furious franchise.
We're about to
The third one.
Fast and Furious movies. Jesus. Movies. In order. Here we go. I'm disgusted to be looking this up. Fast and watch chronologically. So let's see. There is... Man, my dogs are freaking out. We're about to get a storm, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... First one, Fast and the Furious. Then Too Fast and Too Furious.
Yeah.
So the most standalone entry in the franchise follows that. Blah, 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 blah. Fast and Furious. And this... So I'm on Collider, is where I found this. This is where things get screwy. The 4th movie in the series is actually the 3rd, chronologically and story-wise. It's a direct sequel to the first film. That's where they brought back Walker and Diesel, and establishing Han Lu as a former associate of Dom. Fast and Furious take place 5 years after The Fast and the Furious. It's also the first time you meet Gal Gadot. And then there's Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, which is technically the 3rd film of the franchise, but chronologically, it would be the 6th one. So if you're watching them in order, it was released 3rd, but it would actually be your 6th movie to watch, which puts Fast and the Furious 6 at like what a disaster. No wonder Orange Cassidy is so laid back. He probably fried his brain trying to follow the timeline of this thing. So Furious 7 takes place just under a year after Fast and the Furious 6 and slightly overlaps with the end of Tokyo Drift. The Fate of the Furious, which is followed by Fate of the Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. So for Hobbs and Shaw, it's actually pretty unclear when exactly this takes place, but it's safe to say they team up sometime after becoming bros in the Fate of the Furious. But there's some compelling evidence, like Idris Elba's role, they was killed in 8 years ago, which it could be that it happens after the upcoming Fast and the Furious 9. Holy
I'm already tapped out.
Yeah, I'm... Wow. So do you got all that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
man.
I think we should wrap this up because it looks like it's getting ready to storm and before we get knocked out or whatever.
Yeah. There's not really anything going on wrestling.
Nope.
Who knows? Hell in a Cell for Roman Reigns and Rey Mysterio. I'm hoping we get to see him just somehow beat the crap out of Dom in the cell, like it's some kind of weird setup. Dominic being Rey's son. So
Yeah.
hopefully soon we will be back to be able to talk about some kind of wrestling. But man, not a fan of the NBA.
No.
They're ruining my AEW fun time.
Yes.
So we'll call it there. Any parting words? It is so dark. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think it's getting ready to storm, so that's why I wanted to get off here.
Yep. I'm with you.
That's the parting words, is get ready to storm.
Here we go.